For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow. And so say all of us. Happy birthday, Don. Oh, and for the rest of you who aren't Don, welcome to the video. This video is a ranking of every Bigfoot movie. I'll get to the criteria in a moment, to celebrate the birthday of a very good friend of mine, Donnovan the Ass-tastic, who is linked in the description as if most of his content isn't just being in videos on this channel. If you don't understand the bit, don't worry, the people who understand it do, and they probably find this video way funnier in concept than execution. Except Bigfoot, he's gotten probably a lot of pleasure out of seeing my misery. Today I want to rank every single Bigfoot movie, with a few exceptions. There are a lot of movies about Big Ape Monster, so lines have to be drawn. Here's where I drew them. I didn't include any pure documentary films, but docufiction was allowed. Docufiction being an unfiction film presenting a made-up narrative as if it was a non-fictional documentary, but the copious amount of just pure documentaries about the creature or about sightings will not be included. I also will not be including films about similar but distinct creatures. The Tibetan hunting god by the name of the Yeti, the Wildman of Navidad, and most notably for the video, the Boggy Creek Monster from the Land That Banned an episode of PBS's Arthur for not going through with the brother-sister marriage will not be included. Now, I just don't consider the Yeti a cryptid at all. I consider it a part of Tibetan culture and folklore, the same as other folkloric figures like King Arthur and Robin Hood. The other two, though, I just didn't want to address, as they're distinct enough, and they just, there's too many films. I would probably include the single Wildman of Navidad movie and the multiple Boggy Creek movies in a ranking of overall cryptid films, which, mind you, combined is less movies than just this video. Never forget that Bigfoot's name originates from an advertisement, you can kinda tell. I am also not including the BC-14 films. I have been told, and to my understanding, some of these movies use generative AI, and in general are written in a way that feels like ChatGPT being prompted to make something weird, and as such, I will not be giving them the light of day. Fuck generative AI, it's for dickheads who can't escape the fact that they were born with a disability of unfathomable skill issue. Also, there are at least, 20 more random Bigfoot movies I'm sure exist, made on less of a budget than Clerks, that are floating around the internet and I just didn't find them in my searching. There's too many, I don't have it in me to look for too many days in a row. This was the single most difficult ranking I've ever had to make, my life is already ruined. With that in mind, there's 38 movies, let's fucking get through them.
Let's mosey, asshole.
The Badge of the Bible and Bigfoot from 2019 is actively Christian propaganda. And let me be clear, Christianity, no issues with it. Praise Jesus and that. I have a few friends of various religious faith, from Hindu to Buddhist to Nordic pagans, and of course, Christians. And I think the fact that we can all get along is awesome. This movie is just propaganda though. It has some of the worst messages I've ever heard, such as, don't worry about dangerous animals, God made them and made humans masters over mankind, so just command them in the name of God to stop. Don't do that. If a pissed off jaguar is looking at you, don't just command it to stop. It'll rip your face out, you idiots. Don't worry if you're lost in the woods, just pray to God and he'll save you. Or maybe just learn ways to figure out how to help yourself if you're lost. Talking about the past is bad because Jesus said so. What? And when do you think the crucifixion happened then? The future? The movie then has our heroes fighting Bigfoot with violence, as Jesus would. Mind you, the movie seems to suggest that a gun shouldn't be used to defend yourself from an attacking animal. Instead, you must use prayer to God, the commandment of Jesus Christ, and your fist. Anyway, after Bro beats up Bigfoot easily, the movie reveals that it was all a dream brought on by violent monster movies, and we end on the message that using monster movies as a coping mechanism is bad. It doesn't matter if it was working, it's unnatural. The only acceptable coping mechanism to PTSD is praying to God. Something incredibly fucked up to say to an ex-soldier who has witnessed lots of death during his service, given he's stated to have been in many kill or be killed situations. I don't care if you're a Christian and for some reason agree with all these things, the movie pushing the idea that any coping mechanism other than prayer is inherently bad and unacceptable is a fucking abhorrent message to send out there. Coping mechanisms, including turning to religion, should be measured on how harmful they are and how effective they are. When you remove anything harmful from the equation, such as turning to drinking or gambling or drugs, the most effective of what's left for the individual is the best choice. Not everyone's gonna feel the same way. For some people, turning to religion and God will work, and that's fantastic. But for some people, they will have other coping mechanisms that'll be fine. What's the downside to watching monster movies that are violent? Having a dream where you meet Bigfoot and you easily beat the living crap out of him, which as a Christian, looking at Bigfoot, who kind of represents secular belief in the missing link as well as visually represents like the common depiction of the sons of Cain, I kind of feel like that's not too bad a dream. And also as a movie, it's so slow, boring, awfully directed, terribly acted, and generally, forgive the pun, god-awful. The It's All a Dream ending is terrible and preceded by the new worst jump scare I've ever seen. Bottom line, propaganda movies are terrible, and please, if you're in danger, please don't just sit there doing nothing but praying. Be proactive. God gave you legs and brains for a reason.
Haven't you ever looked up at the clouds and seen an animal?
1975's Curse of Bigfoot is a calamity of filmmaking. It's so disjointed and, what's the word? Right, awful. There's like an intro vaguely about Bigfoot with a bunch of narration and the hallmark long shots of nature with nothing else going on stylings of the era. They talk about the Yeti as if the Yeti is the same thing, and then they have an hour-long flashback about a prehistoric creature. There's no Bigfoot here. The curse is of a mummified monster creature thing. It's really funny looking, I'll admit, but I wanted a funny looking monkey man, not this. There is no Bigfoot, because the Bigfoot is just a hairy monster thing that's not quite the same style of hairy monster thing. And you know why? Because this whole movie is reusing another movie that would later be called Teenagers Battle the Thing from 12 years ago in 1963, who gets set on fire and dies. What a waste of time! I hate this movie! Oh my god, I thought I was like hopefully free from the era where we're fucking doing a ranking. Look at that, there's one movie that's just the exact same as a pre-existing movie, just done exactly the same again. Or like even with the Lego one, it's just that game, but like it did it again. It's the exact same thing, but no. We're back at it with Bigfoot, thanks mate. It is just bad filmmaking from inexperienced people. I can't curse the movie too much on its own merits, but the reuse of another existing movie the group had already made is really lame.
Sungwon now feels comfortable enough to fart around you.
Creature in the Woods from 2017 is very clearly a low-budget movie that had so little time in the oven it spent most of that time looking at the oven. But given it's from 2017 and these creators have had nearly a full decade to potentially improve, most likely realizing this fucking sucks, I have no issue saying this fucking sucks. I am willing to defend a bad found footage film for being boring and long-winded at times. The genre is built on a foundation of slow burn and gradual build-up. There's a reason the same people who kind of dislike analog horror also usually dislike found footage, because there are obviously going to be people who don't really enjoy that. For me though, I think that is just kind of the format of found footage. These moments of long, boring nothing add authenticity and realism. Most footage on a camera will likely just be the dull, boring stuff. However, the art to making an actually good found footage film comes from charming characters, authentic acting, and believability. In this film, the characters almost exclusively act in unrealistic and moronic ways to a level no human would. Making a dumb choice? Fairly normal. You'll want to have the characters make a few dumb choices in a found footage film, or else they come across as not realistic. Making nothing but a string of awful choices though? Not normal. The acting is terrible. There's so little in the way of good dialogue that I don't know how they'd manage, but fucking hell this is bad. Everything is as if the characters themselves are reading off a script, and that only works for the scenes in which the characters are in-universe, which is about 6 minutes of the movie. There's a line like, "He's your boyfriend," and not only was the delivery so bad that I couldn't take it seriously, but I didn't know that, because the most that boyfriend said in the whole film about his relationship with the other characters is, "I like you guys, but I ain't sticking my neck out for anyone," which made me think they weren't really that close. The writing throughout is awful. I couldn't begin to list the awfully written lines and interactions, and to top it all up, the characters have no charm and no personality, so the movie is not only boring, but there's also no tension, as it's impossible to give a fuck. And the final scare is bad, and immediately after the end title card of the movie, we get a reveal that I guess Bigfoot was faked and just some guys who killed these teenagers. So these normal people somehow got away with all this and also decapitated a bear with their bare hands, and also got away leaving no evidence but a shit on the floor before the bear went cold? Or the characters show... I'm done with this film. You know, another thing a fucking found footage movie needs is you want all those boring scenes to build up to a satisfying payoff, you know? That's the slow burn. This has no burn, it's just slow.
The Empire of the Clouds.
Holy fucking shit! 2006's Bigfoot at Hollow Creek Canyon has to be one of the worst movies I've ever seen. The titular Bigfoot genuinely shows up in this movie about as much as you'd expect from a found footage film. But it's not a found footage film, it's a horror movie, of a sort. There is a solid hour-long stretch where nothing happens, and the movie has neither the talent nor the effort to pull off the suspense and terror you'd want from that. This movie is nothing but incessantly horny. Often characters are half naked, and usually they're less. They're just sexing everywhere, and when they're not fucking, they're talking about fucking, trying to start some fucking, or having fucking badly written drama about who is fucking who. The characters are painfully hateable without the movie knowing. The movie can also just be, casually misogynistic, casually homophobic, casually transphobic, and not to a degree where I think the movie is actively going for bigotry, but it comes up enough times that it's annoying, and that annoyance is only enhanced when the rest of the movie is so fucking bad. It's such a slow and boring movie. I can highly recommend it for anyone who wants to watch a porno, but also doesn't want to see sex or be aroused by it. It's so horny that it gets in the way of the kills. Like, even actually too horny 80s slasher films don't often do that. Half a scene will be taken up by attempted titillation, and then a character going off screen, and the next we see them, someone's dead. The gore can be good sometimes, but I'm too pissed off to care. The only thing, and I do mean only thing good about this movie, are the 5 seconds of a lady hitting Bigfoot with a vehicle, and the empty suit flying off a cliff like a 70s Tokusatsu series. Otherwise, fuck this movie to damnation.
I can see the shadow of the Great Wall of China!
2005's Clawed Legend of Sasquatch, also known as The Unknown, is what happens when, fuck you, I don't have an analogy because it's horrible! Has anyone ever seen like a phone recorded film made for a high school media class? This movie has the same teeny, echoey sound the whole time. It rattles your brain as you watch it. That's fine if you're making a 5-minute short film for high school. This is so long. The whole goddamn runtime feels like it's echoing within your skull as every word reverberates and bounces. It doesn't help that the movie, even if it sounded good, would still suck. There's some decent effects work at times that I can appreciate, but the story isn't any deeper than a guy, I guess, appears on a podcast or interview, I don't remember which, and explains what happened when a bunch of people done died. The explanation being that some giant, weird, furry, clawed creature that could charitably be called a Bigfoot of some flavor appeared and people died. There's some pointless almost plot, a bunch of stuff that goes charitably nowhere, and in general nothing memorable or worth bringing up. All this culminates in the reveal that all of the survivors we were just told about died off screen, and the woman talking to the last survivor is the child of a non-consensual pregnancy caused by the monster thing. It really is a Bigfoot, which will not be even close to the last time a woman gets violated in these films, and she gets a sick claw hand from it and kills the guy. And yes, all the kills in this movie look this bad, because even if the effects and injuries are well done and look good, they're all shot in this super weird and dumb way that ruins the effectiveness of any kill. Front to back, this is a fucking atrocious movie that would have ranked in the bottom 3 of my Hasbro ranking, and would have only made it to maybe 3rd best in the Brinquedo ranking. Oh god, what have I done?
That's not me, guys! That's not me!
The 1987 film Cry Wilderness can probably be best described as... Holy crap, the whole movie revolves around Paul, an annoying piece of shit child who is disobedient, frustrating to watch, and terribly acted. Terrible acting is one of the names of the game here in general. All these performances suck, and few less than Bigfoot himself, who has a voice and sounds like what a parody of Bigfoot would sound like, not what an actual Bigfoot who speaks should sound like. All Paul does is get everyone in trouble, put everyone in danger, and get away with it, teaching us in the end the important lesson that you should blindly believe in random fairy tales without any evidence. Bears are cuddly creatures you should go around hugging, wild apes and strangers should be openly embraced and placed above your loved ones in importance, and parents are useless and suck. Yeah, this isn't a good movie. It was a nice change of pace at this point to have an attempt at a family-friendly Bigfoot film, but this was not all that interesting. It feels no different to a classic Sasquatch exploitation film or SASQUATCH film, except for the happy ending. It's all pointless talking about Bigfoot to try and build up towards him doing nothing until the very end. It even kept the racism towards Native Americans. Oh joy! God, what a bad movie.
I will never understand the human need to find imagery in something as innocuous as a cloud.
Holy shit, what a dire first impression for the video. The 1970 film Bigfoot is a terrible, terrible movie. I normally try to enjoy these kind of old school exploitative films because like there's sometimes a charm of just laughing at them, but this one has so little going on. Story, barely there, characters, not fun, scenes, not fun. It's exclusively revolved around a group of big feet out to impregnate women. By force. That's not fun, or interesting, or anything. I was more confused than enjoyed. Even other exploitation films of this kind of style, like fucking Cannibal Ferox, are coherent. I can follow what's going on in that movie, and I just can enjoy the gore and the unacceptably banging score. Why does Cannibal Ferox score just it? The most I got from Bigfoot was this one bit of my guy being thrown down a hill, I think, and I think Crazy Dave voices all the big feet. Well, no, there is one thing that saves this movie from going near the bottom. I mean, it's in the bottom, but getting above the last few. The insane ending where King Kong Bigfoot shows up out of nowhere, and they speedrun the events of King Kong in about 7 minutes. He shows up, grabs the girl, gets tracked and attacked, and eventually mankind kills him, and someone says, "Oh yeah, Beauty killed the beast," while also referencing how they were planning on using this 8th wonder of the world to make money on stage. And they do call him the 8th wonder. The ending is so batshit insane that it saved the movie a bit. I would say if you're willing to sit through a really boring movie, the ending's kind of worth it. Otherwise though, I'd recommend any other 70s or earlier exploitation film if that's your kick. I know there's a market for that, and there's no shame in that.
Very nice.
Matter of fact,
Oh my God,
eat shit.
Can we not have Bigfoot be a consent ignorer, please? I'm begging here. 1980's Night of the Demon, I expected to be at least a little bit fun, seeing as a bad slasher film can at least have some good kills. But no, it has one fun kill in the sleeping bag, and the rest are kinda lame. The axe kill is alright, I guess, but the whole story is based around Bigfoot sexually assaulting a girl, and she doesn't look that old to me, and her baby being killed, and Bigfoot goes mad and kills people. It's not interesting. I was thoroughly bored, and there's not good enough kills. There's no good final girl. It isn't barely a slasher movie. When it was done, I was ready to go home, and I was already watching this at home.
Lightning pours from the cloud.
2021 gave us Dawn of the Beast, a movie that is half something I'd love, that is a mindless monster splatterfest, and also very formulaic and played out. There's all the tropes, down to the book with all the exposition they happen to find that's relevant to the situation. There's the many jump scares, the pointless twitching motions, and that particular soundscape of dun-duns and shings prevalent in modern jump scare before tension horror filmmaking. And yes, this is a supernatural modern horror film, so you can imagine jump scare before substance. I want to enjoy this more than I do, but it's full of those cliche and stupid scenes that feel like dumb teen horror. This must be what people of my day saw in slasher movies that they hated. Maybe I just don't like this generation of horror tropes. But the fucking tablet saying this shit and going all dark and distorted, it's dumb. I don't think, oh, that's scary. I think, fuck, Sonic EXE back. Some of you are now wondering, what is with the zombies and supernatural occurrences and what do they have to do with Bigfoot? Nothing. This movie features one of my most hated things in general, culturally appropriated Wendigo. Let's just talk about this for a moment. It's not a cryptid, it's not a fantasy creature. Wendigo is part of a legend and the culture of a group of people that have been put down for hundreds of years. And anyone who has an issue with me calling out the mistreatment and trivialization of Native American culture can fuck off. I hate this creature. It represents to me more than any other creature or quote-unquote cryptid other than Mokele Umbembe, how pop culture trivializing the legends and stories of a culture can erase those original stories. Now, Bigfoot has some of this too. He's not free from the woods here. His names include one that was coined for an advertisement campaign, and SASQUATCH, which is the name of a Native American spirit pronounced wrong. He has successfully replaced every wild man of Native American folklore, and people go beyond and try to force the Tibetan Yeti and the Aboriginal Australian Yowie into it, intentionally or unintentionally rendering those stories further down in obscurity as this mass-marketed icon of tourism and capitalism continues to become the main focus because it helps make money. With Bigfoot though, at least he is mostly known by the name Bigfoot, and he is visually relatively on point. And it's not really worth bringing up as a negative to any movie when it's a video about Bigfoot. I don't really like Bigfoot, to be clear, but, you know, I accept Bigfoot exists. But I hate this Wendigo. This design especially. It might look cool, but it's also like, from my knowledge, its first appearance was 2001. I hate seeing it. I don't think it needed to be in the movie, because all it does is lead to dogshit jump scares too. Am I ranking this movie lower than it maybe deserves because I hate the exploitation of Native American culture and chosen ignorance of their beliefs? Yes, and that should not be a point of contention. But also, that appropriation of culture only added these awful jump scares, ugly fucking zombies that look more like Fresno Nightcrawlers than Skinwalkers or Wendigos. That, like, it's trying to be one or the other. I don't know. And all the Wendigo does is show up in shadow and just stand there. He's trying to be fucking Slender Man. You know, the Wendigo is actually a pretty fucking brutal creature when it attacks you. But it's not quite at the very bottom, because this movie has one saving grace, beyond the fact that half the attempts at horror are really funny. At the end of the movie, the Bigfoot has a full-on death battle against the Wendigo swarm of zombies, and it's honestly pretty fucking awesome. There's this metal music blasting, it's shot like a bad music video, there's like this screamo track going on that's out of sync and screams before Bigfoot roars. It's so fucking stupidly funny and endearing. I do love this. There's enough to escape the absolute bottom of the barrel. This is a great scene.
Hey, Luigi, you ever notice how clouds can look like other things?
SASQUATCH Mountain from 2006, also known as Devil on the Mountain, is a movie that could charitably be called fucking awful. It has a few things I like. Okay, no, it doesn't. Why does it look like this? The shadows are so overbearing and weird, it doesn't feel intentional at all. It looks like it's just random fucking lighting they couldn't control, and it makes everything look terrible. It's one of those movies that can't decide on if it's being found footage or not, with a few scenes shot like found footage and then otherwise not, and the whole plot basically ends at these guys end up here and then Bigfoot. All the characters are stupid. I swear there's one point where like the characters shoot randomly at nothing because they hear a sound. I can't tell if they were genuinely supposed to see Bigfoot or not, because they keep shooting way longer than is reasonable. And like, I have no idea what's going on half the time. Why are these films so fucking boring and like just doze me off?
Good to see you, Cloud.
God, another boring one. 1979's The Capture of Bigfoot is nothing. It has some stuff going for it. I like that Bigfoot actually has a role to play as an individual creature for the first time, and the idea that Bigfoot would be the ultimate prize, but over time the novelty would run out and tourists would stop coming because it's the allure of Bigfoot that really draws in tourism. And it's actually kind of an interesting dilemma, you know? People looking for Bigfoot brings in more money than having Bigfoot. But the movie takes forever for stuff to happen. There's 20 minutes of movie left after the Bigfoot gets captured, and at that point, why am I even watching? There's so little to say. I was barely able to pay attention to what's going on. Why did Troma release this a decade ago anyway?
I guess it was just a cloud.
It was a cloud?
For every moment of 1998's Little Bigfoot 2 The Journey Home that's funny or great, there's stuff like the dad hitting on a child in his sleep, or hitting on one when he's awake, your requisite amount of spiritual Native American cliches, and a big bowl of boring! It is every movie you've ever seen about kids trying to hide some kind of creature friend from their parents. Ever. Nothing new, nothing original, nothing about the main plot itself is offensive, I guess. There's just so little to say. It's a movie that does nothing and says nothing. I like some of the gags, the father is funny at times with how fed up he gets, but I don't give a shit and there's barely any squatching, it's all just Bilbo. I don't care about Bilbo, he's discount Gizmo. I just don't feel invested in them trying to protect him. All that said, you know, Little Bigfoot 2 gets a few points from the fact that it is fun at times. It's more than I can say for a lot of other films here.
What's so glum?
Exist from 2014 is a movie somehow made by one of the guys behind Blair Witch. Somewhere along the lines between that movie and this one, any semblance of artistic vision was lost, as the king on the throne dropped his crown right off his head, and by dropped I mean he threw it at Mark 7 out the door. Instead of the normal found footage approach of getting to know the characters, this movie drops you directly into the action, and immediately wastes no time in making sure you don't give a fuck about any character. You will barely remember their names, and they hope you enjoy the shaky cam Bigfoot action. Now, found footage doesn't really work when it's played for action like this. It's much better at conveying a relatable kind of fear. The characters are so strange and unremarkable that I don't feel any fear. It feels like a movie, not found footage. The black guy runs out at one point, and he says, "I'm gonna kill this motherfucker! Where you at? Where you at?" What the why? And the ending reveals they killed Bigfoot's child, which is resting there in a fucking extended supine like it's in a coffin. And then we see angry Bigfoot so clearly that I wonder, what was the point of making this found footage? Like, this doesn't look like found footage, it looks like a movie. It loses the simplicity in filmmaking and instead puts that simplicity into the script, but not in a good way. It's a bland, uninspired found footage movie that doesn't have a story to tell or characters to enjoy. The horror doesn't work, the action isn't that visible, it's easily skippable.
A grilled cheese.
I feel bad even ranking this one, because I barely watched it. Oh no, I did sit down and dedicate an hour and 20 minutes of my life to trying to watch Bigfoot the Conspiracy from 2020. But about 56 minutes in, I realized that nothing was retained and nothing was gained. This was a boring-ass movie with nothing much going on. I think I like some stuff, at least Bigfoot wasn't a villain this time. I can barely review this film. This is actually about the end of the segment. I was barely able to watch it. Now I'm serious. The only reason this is here is because I did watch it, so I guess by default it has to be here, but I tried so hard to pay attention, and it just dropped anything I could care about. That's it, goodbye.
Your 3 nightlights in a cloud!
This movie fucking blows. Bigfoot Country from 2012 begins with a kind of neat found footage short, and then immediately transports itself to a world of terrible acting, bad characters, and a character who openly declares he's ready for a tall glass of woodland sexual assault, except he doesn't say sexual assault. This man goes on to be revealed as packing one less tent on the camping trip than needed so that he could try to sleep with one of the girls. I remind you, he doesn't say sexual assault in those terms. Gross. But like the rest of the movie is just these characters fumbling around and being assholes to each other as Bigfoot systematically kills like none of them. I guess it's kind of interesting that Bigfoot, I don't think really killed more than one maybe, he might have killed one, but like most of them died by offing themselves, being hit by a car. Bigfoot just kind of ends up feeling like set dressing as a result though, and I don't think the movie is smart enough to realize the potential commentary of, oh, it's the fear of Bigfoot's more of a danger than the creature itself, it's just afraid of you as you're afraid of it. No. And the characters aren't good enough either. They're so annoying to watch and aggravating to experience. They're massive pains in the ass that nobody could possibly enjoy. I can't stand watching these pieces of shit. Like, Mr. Woodland Sexual Assault just can't stop being an annoying dickhead and saying the worst lines of dialogue ever put to film. There's this one scene where he escapes Bigfoot and it's like the most horrific, trauma-inducing experience of his life, and all he has to say about it is, "It was big." Yeah, mate, thanks. It also cannot get into the tent even when the tent isn't zipped up, and zipping it up successfully fends it off for good. There's a really awkward, weird ending where Bigfoot like follows a girl who is handcuffed in the infirmary or something. I don't know. Bottom line, movie bad, awful, hate it, we can move on.
You have come to the right person, Cloud.
What a miserable experience 2017's American Bigfoot is. There is nothing to talk about beyond the acting because nothing matters otherwise. The story is slow and boring, the characters are dull and uninteresting. The movie is just characters looking at Bigfoot evidence and going, wow, that's a big one, must be 8 or 9 feet tall! And then all building up to the worst ending of all. Okay, maybe not as bad as Skyline and definitely not as bad as Devil Inside. The third maybe worst ending of all time, as everyone huddles together to see Bigfoot, to expose the truth of these horrific deaths. Then the credits roll over footage of trees as Bigfoot roars in the distance. Are fucking terrible! But no, the real thing killing American Bigfoot is the acting being so bad. Characters' dialogue is stilted, emotions aren't audible, everyone sounds like they're reading off a script for the first time. It's atrocious. It ruins every scene, and even does that old student film trope of having 1 or 2 lingering seconds before a shot cuts to the next one, so that over the course of 200 shots, it can add a couple extra minutes to the runtime. And also, Bigfoot sucks and is barely in the movie. A complete waste of an experience, a vapid and uninteresting deluge of rubbish that ensures you, the viewer, will never be entertained. My father walked into the room as I was watching this, and I failed to hit the pause button, and I instead hit the mute button, and I generally found that watching the movie muted with subtitles was a more fulfilling and entertaining experience. Those were the best 10 minutes of this movie to me.
Who wants a taco?
2011 Savage the Bigfoot Legend Lives is a movie. It's honestly like a solid movie on a technical sense. It has some decent drama going on, I quite like the setup. But after an hour of solid nothing, where all that happens is people talking about drama and about land, it leads up to a satisfyingly nothing conclusion. What a nothing movie overall. It's got nothing going on for it, no points except it's competent. But competent is enough to get up here, though let how short this segment is speak for itself.
Last, a performance worthy of my magnificence. Line up, cloud friends.
There's a lot about Big Legend from 2018 I kinda like. The Bigfoot himself is cool, and I like the approach. It's not about as much a group of hunters looking for Bigfoot or some people stumbling upon him. It's a guy who loses his girlfriend early on, and then goes for a hunt, either looking to kill or be killed by Bigfoot, before setting on trying to kill him. He comes to the decision, no, I want to live, but I also want revenge. It's a great setup, and I like the guy bonding with this one fella he finds who just wants to see Bigfoot. He's not one of them hunters, he's not one of them like corporate guys, he's just there because it's like, I want to see this thing, I want to know if it's real. And then it's a lot of nothing happening as per the norm for a Bigfoot movie. And then finally at the end we get the smallest smidgen of Bigfoot and bam, he survives. He doesn't die. Because right at the end, they try to set up an Avengers initiative, and that's right, this was all a setup for the Bigfoot cinematic universe. God forbid, this movie is okay, it's watchable but not good. I'd sooner watch most other first entries in the cinematic universe, but it's better than The Mummy.
Finally, I don't have to play support.
Bigfoot Path of the Beast is a 2020 film that's technically not really that much better than Big Legend, but I have to give it credit in doing the same thing, but better. Our main character is a man whose wife was killed by Bigfoot, but nobody believes him. Bigfoot is a kind of, like, I think an accepted potential fact in the world. There are like presentations on like all the research done on him or something like that. But Josh is adamant that his wife was killed by Bigfoot, though other people think he's crazy. He then hunts Bigfoot down and kills him, though we don't properly see this happening, I don't think. Only for there to be another 30 minutes of movie as he gets chased down by big feet off screen that are attacking him. This is where the movie I thought was just being cheap, and we'll get there, actually hit me with a pretty good twist. Earlier in the film, one of the characters you're supposed to see is obviously in the wrong, suggests that Josh is just crazy, and when he offers to bring people to see Bigfoot, he's actually taking you to where he killed his wife, and the Bigfoot thinks all the story that he deludes himself into thinking is true. And when he takes out Bigfoot's decapitated head to show the man that was hired to follow him, he finds instead the decapitated skull of his wife. It's a good twist, because not only are Big Feet films rarely smart enough to include plot twists, but the movie doesn't really even suggest that this is close to likely. It just wants to make you go, these people that don't believe Bigfoot, they're absolutely crazy. Obviously Bigfoot killed his wife. And then he takes out the skull and is like, oh, okay, something kind of interesting. And also makes you look back and go, oh, the lack of on-screen Bigfoot is not just the fact that the movie's really cheap, but also foreshadowing. And the movie has it left vague as to whether Bigfoot was ever real and whether Josh really killed his own wife and then deluded himself out of grief. That said, I can only give so many points to a movie this amateurish. It's shot badly, it's performed terribly. Every character you can tell at the start of any shot is doing nothing and then suddenly jumping into the script, as if reality pauses briefly between shots. It's the kind of amateur style that only comes from film students and newcomers to the craft. I can't blame them for it, but even 6 years on, they should be able to look at this by now and recognize when I say it's not very well done. It's a frustratingly poorly made movie because there's elements of a solid film in there. Honestly, if this film was just more competently made, I actually might have ranked this pretty well, because it's got a lot of genuinely good building blocks in there. But every scene's slightly too long, there's a notable pause before the action starts, and the actors all perform their roles as if they're playing for a camera, instead of being a real person in the world. Now, Josh's actor isn't quite so bad, which is good given most of the film's about him, but he's still not very good in the movie itself. I can see potential here, and what it lacks in Big Legend's production values and general competency, I'll give it way more credit for having an actual idea and a better realized main plot.
I am going to open this door.
2006's hideous The Legend of Bigfoot is not a good film. It's a fucking slow, boring, ugly movie involving inflating big feet that use the powers of internal farting to take to the skies. But look, man, it's an inoffensive, harmless kid film. It has a few neat things in it. I like the idea of the oblivious park ranger actually being secretly part of a family that's looked after a tribe of Bigfeet for generations, and the oblivious guy who never notices the obvious Bigfoot is all an act. But I don't know, it's not fun to look at or watch. It's just kind of bad and ugly, and then it keeps going for another too many minutes after the plot is finished and wrapped up. But you can only get so mad about a movie like this when it's watchable.
For these reasons and more, most people have a negative association with clouds.
1975's Legend of Bigfoot is a pseudo-documentary about a guy doing Bigfoot stuff. I can't say it was all that great, but it wasn't boring. The narrator is so over the top and exaggerated in a way that's just kind of amusing. Unfortunately, there's no story going on really, and there's not much in the way of anything interesting. Our guy acts like he's done something great when really he just goes around talking to people about Bigfoot, and then, oh, look, there's a Bigfoot. Yeah, I know what to say. It's okay.
This is my inhaler.
1997's Little Bigfoot is a fine enough film, I guess. Honestly, I was really bored and felt like it was a poor man's E.T. I didn't care for Peyton or Bilbo or their relationship. It feels like a discount version of several films I've already watched. That said, it's not nearly as ass as Cry Wilderness, so I can give it points for being better than some of what it copies. But at this point, I was tired of movies about hunting Bigfoot, and then of course he's fine because caging him is bad. At least this one was a kid, it's a novelty, but he's just not as endearing or entertaining as the big monkey. I didn't really find much whimsical or entertaining here. It was just, yeah, it was okay. Kinda boring.
Those are clouds.
2003's The Untold is a travesty of filmmaking. It truly accomplishes nothing and gets nothing right. Even the format of the film doesn't work. It opens and closes as if it's some kind of found footage unfiction movie. Most of it is shot like a normal film, with a few scenes of found footage here and there. It's like an inverted cannibal holocaust. The film, I can say, is mostly brought down by being so slow, and the key word for Bigfoot movie is boring. There's also this one annoying character who exists just to be like, skeptics are stupid, look at all these other different unrelated ape people in different cultures. I will ignore everything about how absolutely different they are and say that they're all the same as Bigfoot. Fucking obnoxious character, as if like the Yowie in Australia who travels at night from the spirit realm, or the Yeti in Tibet who ranges from a god of the hunt to a spiritual guardian of Dharma, are all related to Bigfoot beyond the vague physical similarity of a big man am hairy. He's just so annoying, and it doesn't help that Bigfoot is barely present, and you don't feel any tension. It's like the same few shots of his mouth opening every now and again, and that's most of his appearance. The movie's main reveal of the main character being here not for revenge after his daughter was killed by Bigfoot, but then he still succumbs to that need for revenge anyway. Like, that's kind of neat. Like, he came to get something from the plane. He doesn't care that his daughter's dead, but like, it kind of like gives this idea of like, yeah, he lost his daughter. It was a tragedy. He goes to where it happened to find something else that she was carrying at the time. But he spends the whole movie rejecting proof of the monster because he knows if that monster existed, he would have to confront the tragedy of his daughter's death and be unable to stop himself from trying to get revenge and potentially dying of the same thing his child did. And, you know, truth be told, this has to be among the most competently made sci-fi films I've ever seen, as in Sci-Fi Channel. It's well close to being almost a real film compared to the likes of Sharktopus, and for damn sure, Bigfoot looks better than S11 in its one proper scene. But good god, the movie is so dull a lot of the time. It's impossible for me to enjoy really, but it has moments going for it, I guess.
Now get off your lazy butts and go get me another grilled cheese deluxe!
1995's Bigfoot the Unforgettable Encounter is hilariously named. I forgot most of this movie. It is a family film about a kid who befriends Bigfoot, and then the town tries to capture Bigfoot, and then they do and the good guys help him escape. Whatever. It's a completely forgettable and uninteresting movie with nothing of note to talk about. The Bigfoot is really ugly, if that's worth anything. What it does have, however, is the unforgettable encounter itself, where Bigfoot fights a motherfucking bear. Now, I can only assume the filmmakers knew someone who owned a domesticated bear, because they mostly just hug a lot for their wrestle. But it's a fun little moment. Bigfoot versus goddamn bear. What's not to love? Aside from this, that movie gave me nothing. I could barely pay attention, it was entirely unremarkable.
I've never seen clouds like that before!
I really, genuinely wish that I could enjoy Sasquatch Sunset from 2024 more than I do. But this movie at every turn puts me off. In theory, the movie is fantastic. A film with no dialogue following a family of Sasquatch trying to survive just 1 year as they look for any others of their kind and come into contact with humanity along the way. The film has them die over time, they face new experiences from human settlements, and they generally interact with the world differently because of human impact. The Squatches have no dialogue, but they still convey plenty of their own personality, and they incorporate elements of Bigfoot lore in an interesting way, like knocking wood together to try and contact other members of their species, or burying the dead because they just do that. Unfortunately, for how interesting this idea is, and how good some scenes are, It's also needlessly gross at times. It can be vile. Breast milk cannons, childbirth, pissing, shitting, vomiting, a cougar eating a Bigfoot's cock. It's gross. There are plenty of things you can show that are gross about nature. I don't mind them pissing over places to mark their territory. The sex scene at the start I can live with, because it's like, yeah, animals do that. But they go so over the top in a way that's intentionally trying to make you uncomfortable. Like, it's vile. I don't mind vile at times. I fucking enjoy Toxic Avenger. I like body horror. I can get along with some vile shit. But this is pointless grossity in an otherwise interesting and nuanced movie. At least with a film like Toxic Avenger, you know the grossness is the core aspect of the movie. You'll watch that movie because it's gross. This one actually has more going on, but then it just kind of has this juvenile humor. The Sasquatch never interact with humans, but the presence of humanity slowly becomes more and more prominent, until there's this honestly tragic scene at the end of the surviving Bigfeet trying to contact and talk to a statue of Bigfoot. And it doesn't respond, obviously, but they stay by it anyway because it's the closest there is to any Bigfoot left. It's a harrowing way to show without dialogue that humanity has not only destroyed environments and habitats, but has put up replacements for the natural world that have no soul or meaning. Facsimiles of the wonderful world we live in that have no real inherent worth. But how can I care about stuff like that when the movie so consistently grosses me out and has comedy that's very miss and occasionally hit? I do think there's a genuinely brilliant movie here, but the execution did not do anything to make it shine for me. It's a decent film that I'd only recommend it to the kind of person with the sense of humor of like a juvenile that thinks they're a grown-up for saying naughty words, or the kind of person with the capacity to hear the words Bigfoot pisses and shits on a road and also shoots breast milk onto it and goes, oh, that's some shit I want to see.
Oh my goodness me.
Bigfoot the Movie's 2024 sequel, Bigfoot the Movie the Sequel, somehow found a way to let me down this late into the marathon. Now, as Bigfoot movies go, it's still probably among the more fun ones, if only for that intro and ending, but man is it a letdown. I quite enjoyed the first Bigfoot the Movie, as you'll see, but this one took everything I didn't like and made it worse. Now, the first film has a lot of characters going on random tangents with minimal lead-in and pointless scenes that mean nothing but do extend the runtime. And this film adds even more of those. Oftentimes, I feel like Burl, Dale, and Chuck are way more self-referential and somehow even goofier than before, but like not in a fun way, and most of the film is spent looking for the white Bigfoot without any connective tissue. There's no revenge for the friend that got killed plot going on, it's just kind of boring hot air. At the very least, the ending is hysterical with the terrible but funny final Bigfoot fight, and how they don't even attempt to explain the blatant superhuman feats of Bigfoot, despite in the film him just being a guy in a costume that fucked Bigfoot from the first movie a lot. Gross. The end reveal of the son of Bigfoot kinda got me though. I was let down, but it's still fairly fun by Bigfoot standards.
I'm trying to, not listen to you be so you're like a rain cloud.
Bigfoot 2012 edition is not a good movie. In fact, it's a fucking horrible movie with an awful plot, bad writing, worse acting, and effects Sci-Fi Channel could manage. But it's also fucking hysterical. A silly movie about a giant, ugly CGI creature that causes havoc and kills people. It's pointless criticizing it, because it's so wildly hilarious. Every scene with this Bigfoot is so fucking funny, and the protest to protect it, as if in this movie it's not just a mindless killing machine, is very funny. I love the pointless Alice Cooper cameo, and the needless violence. The whole movie ends with a gunfight on Mount Rushmore, where one of the mediocre melodies on it gets hit with a missile, and that maybe kills Bigfoot, except right after the explosion, it fades to 1 year later with a brief speech that means nothing, and the movie ends. What? God, it's so bad. But I think that's all that needs to be said. It's fucking silly but funny, and that's worth a lot here. It does unfortunately have the mockbuster type issue of too much time spent doing nothing, but what'll you do?
My Uncle Danny sneaks grilled cheese sandwiches into restaurants, just in case they don't serve grilled cheese sandwiches.
Bigfoot 2009 edition is completely harmless, but otherwise not very noteworthy as a family film. It has some charm, has some whimsy, has some fun, but it's very basic and nothing much is worth going out your way to watch. I'd say it's a poor man's version of one of the movies coming up that I generally think is the same but better. Guy finds Bigfoot, tries to hide him from hunters while getting close as a family, then they send off to the wild where his Bigfoot family shows up suddenly to welcome him back. I think the romance was really badly put together. There was a point where I had begun to wonder where all the time went. Like, I swear, all that happened in the movie was the main hero saves the girl, meets Bigfoot, she declares him her boyfriend, he visits Bigfoot again, he sees her at her song, and then they watch King Kong, and suddenly there's only 30 minutes left? Where'd the time go? I don't know. The movie is inoffensive and watchable. It's a mediocre family movie that isn't nearly the best in this video, but not bad.
Let's talk fear-mongering.
2017's The Son of Bigfoot is an inoffensive and okay kids movie. It's not some kind of terribly interesting film. It's about some outcast kid who finds out he has some secret reason for why he's different, and look at that, his dad's Bigfoot! What a twist! Bigfoot, who is being chased by people who want to capture him and study him, of course. Uniquely, because he's just a human with a lot of hair. And also crazy supernatural powers that came along with having a lot of hair. Notably, the villain is the evil leader of the evil hair company. A premise as threatening as it isn't hilarious. I think it's fine. It's an okay kids film with good enough animation, some okay jokes, and predictable but inoffensive story beats and morals. It's just okay, it's fun. I guess I never cared for how the movie was written. The dialogue can feel a bit stilted and awkward at times, the characters' relationships don't seem super believable, and it's very played out. There's one scene that runs through, your wife was captured. Oh, this is your fault, son. I didn't know. Actions have consequences. I didn't mean to. You never should have come looking for me. I'm sorry, I'll fix this. You don't know what you're doing. Like, about as much time as it took for me to say that. It's nothing remarkable, it's pretty lackluster, but importantly, it's not bad. It's a fairly decent little kids film. It's not hurting anybody. I can see this being enjoyable for a lot of people, and I wouldn't argue.
So you can keep your E. coli.
I consider 2020's Bigfoot family to be much of a step up from Son of Bigfoot, but it's a step up nonetheless. Both are very similar in overall quality. Writing leaves something to be desired, animation's fine, story's okay. But what I give Bigfoot family is originality and novelty. At the very least, a story about Bigfoot becoming a social media influencer who gets captured by Big Oil after abandoning his family for a second time, leading to an adventure where his wife and child have to go find and save him. It's way more interesting and unique than the supernatural kid at school with weird power storyline. I also think I prefer the villain. You have the same one-note greedy corporate villain, but give him an over-the-top Texan accent, and he'll be at least 20% more fun. Beyond that, I can't say there was much here. The movie has its moments. I like the family rapport between all three members of the Bigfoot family. That wasn't really there in the last film. It's all fun generally, but nothing remarkable. It's a perfectly inoffensive 5, maybe even a 6 out of 10. It's fun, harmless kid stuff, and there's nothing wrong with fun, harmless kid stuff. That said, if they do a third one, I'll watch it, but I'm going to look for something a little more interesting, I hope.
Yeah! Take this, Clouds!
Willow Creek from 2013 is, for my money, a pretty good film, but also one I think is going to be a love it or hate it flick, and depend entirely on what you come in looking for. It's a found footage movie, so you can expect a lot of time wasted on stuff that doesn't matter, stuff that exists to sell the realism of things, as most of life is that small stuff that only really matters in the moment. And I think how much you enjoy the movie is going to depend on your tolerance for that, how much you enjoy these characters, and whether or not you're looking for just squatching action. For me, I did like these characters well enough. There's an authenticity to their performances, I think, and plenty of moments going to show their charm. I like seeing them actually film stuff for the documentary. Like the idea of they want to go to the Pattinson Gimli film site to like look at it and film a documentary, and they like redo shots a few times to get it right. Like, I think a lot of people might be turned off by this approach, and I get it. The only scenes that add to the story occur at the beginning, the two people warning the couple throughout the movie, and the last 30 minutes. But in my opinion, I think those moments of dead air are necessary. Can you make a good found footage movie where every scene is important? Absolutely. Blair Witch, I would pretty much call that. But I think for a movie with this premise, those moments can work. I can buy this guy wanting to make a documentary because he records every meeting, he interviews people, he has some stories and some general dorky shit that I expect from a guy having fun with his girlfriend while traveling. And while the second guy to stop them may have laid on a bit thick, I really like the first one just being a guy that comes across as overly sensitive to people mocking the culture of the area, understandably. These to me built a connection with the characters. We only see a bit of them, but I can tell the connection between the boyfriend and girlfriend, and they charmed me. I like seeing the guy repeat and fuck up takes, because it feels like someone just found this camera and put all the footage on it out there for people to watch. Those last 30 minutes are fantastic as well. I genuinely am too anxious to ever want to go on a camping trip, and shit like this is why. You never see what's around, but you just hear the thing moving and pressing into the tent. It's so believable because that's what bears can do. Even if Bigfoot isn't real, this is a tangible fear, and the character's fear feels real.
he's trying to keep it together, but he's basically frozen, and she's reasonably freaking out over time as her rational explanations stop protecting her from what scares her. The traveling the next day is great, and the two in the open, like in the dark, makes for a great climax. However, when we see Bigfoot, I don't know what this is supposed to be. And, you know, we start getting some pretty basic-ass cliche scares, and yeah. I mean, this is still probably the best part of the film, but don't let the potential glow of this review fool you. More than a lot of upper half ranked movies I've reviewed across these videos, this is a movie you need to be in the right mood to watch. It copies a lot from Blair Witch. The whole, I guess, the same log thing without the supernatural explanation doesn't feel in line with the movie, and like that's the point where I went from, okay, yeah, it's kind of copying like Blair Witch, but like it's doing its own thing, and then it just does the exact same thing. And frankly, I don't quite feel the fear rewatching some scenes knowing what chasing them is this. If it looked like a hairy humanoid, that'd be enough. There's still enough mystery in there to work for me, but this is a naked woman in a diaper. I'm not scared of this. The feet don't even look like they'd make those marks. I think in the moment, the human look of it could add some shock value for some people, but after that wears off, just a big hairy thing we don't see fully would have worked. A one and done movie. Not bad in my opinion, but it tipped its hand a bit too far and now I'm not scared of it. Even on the moment, did trigger one of my latent existing fears. And now we pause! We pause this part of the review for a moment, because the 5 other people who watched this film may have noticed something. The naked woman in a diaper that we see with the Bigfoot noises is not Bigfoot. It's actually a missing woman from earlier in the movie. And Bigfoot is not killing the woman on the screen at the end of the movie, he's impregnating her, like he did to this poor woman. Now, it's one thing to include sexual assault in your movie, and I suppose in this case it's played exclusively for horror, and it does accurately go, yeah, this is a horrific thing. But the movie doesn't properly explain this, and I kept my original writing of this review in because I wanted to get across the idea that this is the impression the movie left on me before I looked at it a few more times. The whole explanation of this is the whimsically named Forest Bride, or a woman that Bigfoot sexually assaulted and impregnated, is just not a big part of the movie, and it makes the big reveal not hit. It relies on a very brief scene and prior knowledge of Bigfoot culture that the movie doesn't explain. I think that's just kind of crappy writing, and it tanks the movie in a different way. I still do think the movie is mostly good, and I think it does a shitload right, but that ending isn't it, Chief. It feels like it's only done like that so that all the little moments of copying Blair Witch can come in and hit you at once with the, oh, yeah, it's just Blair Witch. Also, the chip and music in the credits immediately takes you out of the horror.
Let me remind everyone of the rules. Turn your eyes to center field.
Hello! 1996's Drawing Flies is barely a Bigfoot movie, and on a different note, kind of barely a Kevin Smith movie. It's not even part of the Viewer universe. What it is, though, is a alright movie. A lot of it's kind of drawn out and boring, and while I can enjoy Smith's offensive humor, I feel like it takes a certain delivery to get the offensive humor work. This is no Clerks. The comedy here is a step below the likes of Clerks, or Dogma, or Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and most of the romance is below Chasing Amy. It's kind of one of the least interesting of Kevin Smith's works in filmmaking. Now, it still has some charm to it, okay? I find its scenes can be cozy. It does feel like just a bunch of fucking guys hanging out and yapping about shit. It has the prerequisite random bullshit. There's this moment with a group of guys in diapers screaming at one another that never gets brought up again. And then there's the ending, which I think is what sold the movie to me. The movie revolves around the main character, Jason Lee, having a strange vision of Bigfoot and lying to his friends about what they're doing to go find out and go find him. Eventually, they find out that he wasn't actually there to take him to some little house in the middle of the forest to hang out for a weekend. That he's just there to look for Bigfoot, and they ditch him for various reasons throughout the movie. And at the end, he comes across like a crazy Bigfoot hunter who's thrown everything away for this one thing. Like a commentary on people who buy too far into conspiracy theories and push everyone away. And then the last shot is like a bunch of Bigfoot smoking weed with him, and like, I thought that was a funny ending. The film's enjoyable, but it's not close to my first choice for a Viewer Skew Productions movie. But yeah, in this ranking, it's pretty good.
Thank you, Don. Oh, very polite. So as you can see from this drawing of a rain cloud...
2017's Bigfoot the Movie is really fun. Not perfect, maybe not even good, but fun. Now, I'm not one for excessive American patriotism. I think it's dumb and bad. But this movie is aggressively American in a really funny way. Everyone is some completely out there drunk and gun-happy redneck hick. Even the old granny fucking packing heat, and that's funny. The film has a lot of good jokes peppered throughout. The main characters have a great rapport that's fun and entertaining. I love how they bounce off each other and just shoot the shit constantly. It feels like a poor man's attempt at the Kevin Smith View Askewniverse style filmmaking. I'm consistently entertained by this movie, which is a big plus it has over most movies in this ranking. It has a ridiculous plot once it gets going. Yeah, it's a slow movie, I can't deny. A whole chunk of the middle is a complete waste of space full of boring drama, unnecessary horniness, and wasted scenes that don't add anything. It takes a while before finally the Bigfoot hunt begins, but when it does, fucking random hunters show up tranking everybody before Bigfoot can be killed, but not before her hand is crushed. Turns out the mayor, I think, wants to open a Bigfoot theme park to make more money, but because the doctors are morons, they try to operate on Bigfoot without restraints. She breaks out and kills everyone. Our heroes come in and vaporize Bigfoot with an explosive arrow? What the fuck? God, it's so dumb, but fun as hell. Honestly, this would be a pretty good movie if you cut out 15-20 minutes of pointless stuff, because the drama's not interesting enough and the acting isn't good enough to sell it. I don't care for when they talk about their love life and that shit. I just want to see them shoot the monkey, and for that, the movie had just enough for me to have a fun time for most of it.
Awesome. Make the gray skies.
SASQUATCH, The Legend of Bigfoot from 1976 is a very interesting film. That is, among what I've reviewed and ranked, I think it's the first pseudo-documentary piece. It's a film that's kind of like found footage before found footage, portrayed as the recordings and story of a team's expedition to find and hunt Bigfoot. While I didn't get much interested in the characters or anything, there was just enough charm and believability for me to actually find this a quite enjoyable novelty. Yeah, it's slow and nothing much happens for a while, and the trend of, oh look, weird stuff is happening, is pretty easy to see coming. And yeah, everything to do with the Native Americans is very much rooted in its time, though I can kind of forgive it in a pseudo-documentary, because at that point, like, yeah, that's just what life was like. And I also understand that there comes a point where applying modern day morality into like a previous past work can be a bit dodgy, but this is a bit more modern than I think like some really old stuff out there. When Bigfoot actually shows up, he's actually pretty imposing, and the hunt for him is a hectic, believably hard to make out sequence of people freaking out and failing to actually get it done. There's tension here. You know that at least one of these men will survive, but that means not only do you not know if anyone else will, you don't know if Bigfoot will survive. They might actually bag him. But instead, the finale of this is about Bigfoot not showing up again after that one night, and now the remaining crew are still happy to return home, take their footage and new evidence for future scientists to chew onto and analyze. I'm really glad this doesn't have some either like really triumphant or really dour ending. It feels a lot more real. The night was a bit much and chaotic, but they mostly survive. They leave with new footage going, this is just one step to understanding and finding this creature. I really like that. I thought that was actually pretty smart. It makes this feel real and believable. Like, this isn't the big documentary that brings it out in the open. It is just some scientists, what they recorded that night. It's a good ending for what I call a good enough movie. Would I recommend it? No. There are much better pseudo-documentaries out there, like District 9 or Dragon Fantasy Made Real. Then again, there is a Loch Ness and Jersey Devil film in this style. Should I rank pseudo-documentaries? Let me know if you want to see that. That could actually be really fun.
Even the poo is gone.
Yes! He probably ate it to conserve his mythic powers.
2006 was the SASQUATCH gang may not have aged well in some areas, and is definitely a bit all over the place and somewhat vapidly meaningless. For the most part, it's a fun movie. It has plenty of amusing jokes, moments, and characters. And in the end, it is about how life can be shitty, but it doesn't make it not worth going through. The characters are particularly interesting, but they all have their moments, and there are some genuinely banging jokes here and there. I like the guy thinking he can run like a Jesus lizard, and the very next scene is him trying it. I like the guy who's way too into Bigfoot and is obviously scamming people with his supposed expertise, and nobody picks up on it and he just gets away with it. I like Shirts, who is just like really reliable and a totally cool guy. It's a fun little comedy movie that may not be everyone's cup of tea and has a few groaners and a bit of strange pacing. You see, the movie is told in chapters and some of them run concurrently with others. So you can see the characters just do their stuff from a different angle, but you'll get new context in the next chapter. Most of the film's about one arsehole who's been dodging his bank for 6 years, finally being found and threatened with his car being taken away because he hasn't paid back the debt of like buying a hamburger. And like the interest has been building up. And so like he decides to do random shit to make money, including making a random shit so he can sell casts of it online to make money off Bigfoot enthusiasts by saying it's an authentic Bigfoot shit. The shit obviously causes a lot of attention around them, and in the end he only makes like $400 because a bunch of other people decide to grift off the same thing. And like his car gets smashed anyway, so it was all for nothing. It's fun. I enjoyed seeing the kids come together, work out their problems, and eventually fight back against the bullies with sheer bloody violence. Oh, and also, there's no Bigfoot. Wait, what? There's no Bigfoot? This is one of the few enjoyable movies on the list, and it doesn't count? How could I fucking lose it? Don't call your movie the Sasquatch Squad if there's no Sasquatch! You fucking baited me! I fucking hate this monkey man! I'm gonna kill him!
I activate my lucky cloud.
1987's Harry and the Hendersons is a feel-good movie. Maybe it's not the most original or exciting here, but it does override those issues via the law of it's fun. Harry is a top-tier Squatch, a lovable, likable giant fella who just means well. He's almost more of like a tall, upright orangutan than the standard Bigfoot, and it's hard to dislike him. The family get to know him and they have some fun scenes together. It's never that complex or deep, but it was fun to see them bonding. The comedy didn't always land, but it has its moments, and like that's the thing, it has enough moments, bits of fun, bits of charm, bits of entertainment that carry it a long way into being a fun family movie that I could see myself watching again because it was entertaining. I did like seeing the father bond with Harry, and it helps that his choices were all understandable. I get his panic and why he wanted him out, and I also get why he wanted to save him. It's understandable he wouldn't want an 8-foot tall ape creature in his house that he can't control and could kill them at any point, as far as he knows, but I also get that he came around to Harry. What I think does fail a bit is the pacing of the film. We only get some Bigfoot bonding with the family before he runs off and now gets saved, and then there's just a little more bonding, and then suddenly there's like another chase. The movie has some odd pacing is the point. It's a little over the place at times, and it feels like it has 2 final acts. Like, this movie isn't abnormal. I think you can compare it to, say, Bumblebee or, God forbid, The Iron Giant, and it'll come out looking the worst of the lot. But I think part of that is that they have just tighter pacing. There are fun scenes between just the characters bonding in those movies and the inevitable big final set piece, which is just that, it's the big final set piece. Harry and the Hendersons feels like it wanted to choose between a finale where the family chase Harry through the city trying to save him, or a finale where the family try to help Bigfoot survive being chased by a hunter who wants to kill him. And they kind of did both. For what it's worth, I liked the final set piece with Harry showing his monstrous side, but also how that's only a self-defense thing, and regardless, he's well-meaning and a kind creature who doesn't want to hurt anybody.
I'm hungry. I'm gonna show you how to make a dope as fuck grilled cheese sandwich.
Leica never miss. Ironically, given the name of this, The Missing Link from 2019 is a delightful little film that goes in a completely different direction from what I'm used to in a Leica project. It goes a long way in my eyes as showing that they are more than just a one-style company, producing a wonderful, colourful adventure film that's full of good times and whimsy. Obviously the movie's gorgeous, it's by Leica, but it's also funny. I had a lot of moments where I was laughing with the characters. I enjoyed Susan's literal mind bouncing off the snark of Lionel, and of course when Adelina joined in, she was also fun. The villains are very entertaining and deliciously cruel, and the journey is just fun. It's a fun fucking movie. It has fun action and good comedy, it has lovable characters. I think it's impossible to dislike Susan. He's an absolute delight. I am of course very partial to the well-meaning fellow who's just blissfully ignorant to anything bad they do, someone who will learn from their mistakes but never mean anything wrong or untoward with them. Lionel is a fun protagonist whose arc is predictable but not bad. I enjoy how charismatic and funny he can be, and he bounces off both Susan and Adelina well. Their interactions and rapport help make this film so fun to watch. And of course, we love a found family trope here. The family you think you want isn't as important as the family you come to have. Lionel wants to join this group he idolizes, and Susan wants to be with the relatives he knows he has left. But the family they really needed? It's just each other. 2 best mates doing shit and hanging out, which proves to be infinitely more valuable than a bunch of uptight assholes who don't really give a shit about you. It's a great film in my opinion. It keeps Leica's adult-oriented storytelling and themes, but manages to be a bit more child-friendly than normal, which I don't mind as a change of pace. I could see this movie being in that wonderful category of films for kids to enjoy and then appreciate more as they grow up. Not the one you still enjoy for nostalgia or realize actually kind of sucked, but you rewatch in a decade and find it was actually way smarter and wiser than you really picked up. I really like Missing Link, and I'm glad I included the animated films just for the sake of this one.
He's done. He's good.
I didn't expect any of these films to really hit me. Bigfoot movies was a topic I expected to be a bunch of fun family movies or enjoyable horror flicks. Maybe a bunch would be overselling it, but the content has been about what I expected. And then there's the man who killed the guy whose name I can't say without being demonetized, and then the Bigfoot. You see a title like that and you expect it to be a buck wild silly movie, no? Like, Adolf and Bigfoot are not names that are treated with all that much, like, weight. People joke about him a lot because his legacy is one where people make fun of him. And Bigfoot is a funny monkey that some people believe exists. But this movie is not what it suggests. It is a serious, interesting, and genuinely engaging drama film about a man named Calvin that pops between his flashbacks that evoke spy and romance film and ends on a supernatural action horror. The movie asks, how do you make a man feel bad for killing the guy with the toothbrush mustache? And the answer is actually surprisingly nuanced and interesting, with the reveal that the World War II German villains had tons of body doubles set up. Killing their boss didn't mean or change anything. He was someone who deserved to die, but whose death was meaningless, as his message and the metaphorical monster behind the real monster continued to live and was unkillable. Something we see even today, as his following still exists long after he lost and died like an idiot. Calvin failed. He was nothing but a tool for his government who killed a tool of the enemy's government. All that work, all that time, all the things he sacrificed meant nothing. He didn't have the heart to live. Because how can you live when you find out that you killed one of the most hated men in human history and made no change? And of course, at the end, he kills Bigfoot, and Bigfoot is the exact opposite of the spectrum. He is a fictional thing representing a physically real monster. He doesn't deserve to die, and Calvin doesn't want to kill him, but doing so will save the world from a virus he's unknowingly carrying. And this act of heroism saves the world and makes Calvin happy again, but it's importantly not killing Bigfoot that saved the world. Bigfoot didn't deserve to die, especially not as much as the other guy. It's saving the world that gives Calvin a new sense of reason to live. Killing was the path he took, but it was what he accomplished that makes him accept himself. Questions about whether killing as an act itself is good are raised. The situation wherein killing is a good thing involves a fictional creature. If anything, it's saying that murder in reality is not a solution and doesn't fix anything. The only reason it works in this movie is because he kills something that's made up, and in reality things don't work that way. The way governments, figureheads, and martyrs make themselves immortal and now killing them won't necessarily fix the real problems. It is a easy to find solution that isn't much of a real solution. The movie is surprisingly complex in what it tries to represent, and while it would probably be extremely disappointing to someone who checks it out expecting a bad sci-fi film that's full of wacky, hilarious moments that every character takes super seriously, I actually think this is a really, really good movie. But it's not much of a Bigfoot movie. The title characters aren't as much characters of note as they are bookends of the life of one man. But the movie made me feel, it made me care. It's tragic, it's hopeful, and it's powerful. Not the most powerful I've seen for any of these rankings, to be sure, and how much is the movie being good versus it being an actual movie after all I sat through, I don't know. But this is, without a doubt, my favorite Bigfoot movie that I have seen. But if you only want to count movies that actually focus on Bigfoot, that's Missing Link. And if you want to only count live actions, it's Harry and the Hendersons.
'Cause you made it to Centaur World.
Undeniably, this was the toughest ranking video I've ever had to work on. No other ranking was this thoroughly miserable. The Video Brinquedo ranking was on average significantly worse, but each film was like only an hour long. This ranking had multiple worthless 90-minute long films to me, and as well as not even having Brinquedo's mark of variety. These are all so similar, so repetitive. It was so miserable I had to take a lengthy break before finishing the last few of these films. Even the comic ranking, even the live action Hasbro ranking, had some real limelight in there. Like some great films in those. But this one, it ends on two movies I think are quite good. Was it worth it? Was the pain and suffering worth it? You tell me. I don't think I'll suffer this much again. Until you guys can make me hit 75,000 subscribers by the end of the year, then I'll do the Asylum Mockbuster ranking. Do it, I fucking dare you! With that said, once more, happy birthday, Don. I hope you enjoyed my displeasure.
It's Taco Tuesday!
It just started raining like fucking crazy. Oh shit the fuck. It's really wet now. It's quite wet. Sloppy and moist. Just like Bigfoot likes him. Alright, that video is done. I want everyone to wish Donnovan a happy birthday in the comments. That's the point of the video. Happy birthday, Don. Yeah, so the interesting thing right now, this is not an end screen that the Patreons know about. The guy scrolling past here, these legends. Yeah, they don't know about this video, because I didn't want Don to be spoiled as to his existence early. But thank you to everyone who's watching on Patreon. Thank you, Don, for just being a great friend. And thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed. This was one of the toughest I've had to do. I'm really sorry for any Bigfoot heads out there who like love these movies. Like, oh, Curse of Bigfoot, that's the best movie ever made. What are you talking about? But these just were not for me. I am not sold on big feet. But yeah, hopefully this video was worth it. It's just a stupid bit. Now you might be wondering, you know, Nemesis, don't you normally say that you can go to the Patreon-only Discord and one of the things you can get is the ability to make me say stupid stuff, or make you say stupid stuff on video? How are you gonna do that if the Patrons don't know? Well, ye of little faith, I have a lovely little friend by the name of David, who got everyone to send stuff for me to say, so let's just see what they got. Happy birthday, dearest Donnovan. May the clouds part so the sun shines gloriously upon you today. Iron, what kind of voice do I do for Iron Man? Like, he's just like a guy.
Hey there, champ! It's your favorite billionaire playboy philanthropist. A certain mild-mannered scientist working overtime at UPS told me it's your big day. Poor guy, I hear he's having some bladder issues. Nevertheless, here's to the man who lands more pentakills than most. With a head count like that, you could be my prodigy. You're really like the type of guy to know a thing or three about sidekicks. Happy birthday, Donnovan. Now, Jarvis, play the Buzz Lightyear Star Command theme. Realm of Gods. Did you ever make it the big bees? Oh, it's you! Literally name one planet that has England on it. You look like a cigarette. Australian glob. Here, catch. There exist many weapons across all forms of fictions, from swords to guns to bombs, but none of them make quite as strong of a comeback as the boomerang. Whether you're throwing them at speedsters or wearing them as some snazzy sunglasses, there's no denying the boomerang is one of the most powerful weapons in fiction. None more than these. The Bazingarang, Sheldon's most prized possession, used to slay the time meter and repair the Big Man timeline. And the Peterang, the giant boomerang Peter used to get to the hospital for a split second. He's no I'm no boomstick. It is our job to analyze these weapons, their powers and skills, to find out who would win in a death battle. You look like a clitoris. Heck yeah. You have to be at least 6 feet tall to become a balloon salesman. Sorry, Raina. I can make a mean grilled cheese. It'd be a bold risk to put that in my chips. These are like not funny to anyone but like a select group who will understand them. Happy birthday, Don. Don't let getting older cloud your free spirit and judgment. I don't fucking know what fanboy and chum-chums sound like. What do fanboy and chum-chum sound like? I'm just gonna try to base this off vibe looking at them.
Hulk special delivery!
Hey there, Donnie! Cloudy day we're having. It's your old chum's fanboy and chum-chum! Oh wait, you said my name already. Sorry. We're all the way up here to give you a super awesome gift. Yeah, super awesome gift. You have the honors, chum-chum. I'd pull out an unoriginal joke. I mean, how many do I need to make in this video? Oh, okay. There's literally a second half to this. Ta-da! One extra mean grilled cheese from Moe's Tavern and frosty freezy feast for your birthday. Great, right? but done.
Can I archive that?
What was that? Goblin voice? What do you mean goblin voice?
What, like a little evil guy voice? Oh no! It's non-lactose free! Oof!
The time is nigh. The storm lizard will cast his foul wet upon this barren land soon enough. Oh, also, I actually did one of those wrong, so I'm gonna go back and we're gonna retroactively redo it because I just did not read the part that Biff said next.
The time is nigh! The storm wizard will cast his foul wet upon this barren land soon enough! He-Man!
Peppery the Pepper! Everything's coming up peppery.
Morty, I'm Donnovan now. I'm Cloudy Rick.
Fuck Rick and Morty.
The Lobo film for the fans. Kermit funny animation.
Jacob and Declan are lovers. What does that mean? What's Pete's voice like again?
Well, looky what we got here. Today's a special day, ain't it, Don? I ain't much for words like that there Mickey the Mouse, but from all your friends and good old Pete, don't you know, have a happy birthday and a fantastic year.
Yeah, I do not remember what Pete sounds like. That's so off. And of course, one last one.
Pee-pee hurt a little, but Hulk Smash hurt a lot!
Oh my god. God fucking kill me. I'm gonna have a sip of coffee, like the fucking Five Nights at Candy's guy, and then we'll end this. So, it's a mocker, if anyone's wondering. All right, that's that. Have a good one, folks. Again, happy birthday, Don. Everyone wish him well. Fucking take care, and thanks to all the lads who sent something in. Except the one that keeps pretending that she's me. You don't get a thank you.